Mary, the FDA still has to comb through the data from the clinical trials, but the results are promising. Still, one big obstacle for the vaccine to actually work is convincing enough people that it's safe. Since the pandemic began, the race for a vaccine has been nonstop. Now, drug giant Pfizer and its partner BioNTech are set to ask the Food and Drug Administration to grant emergency use of their vaccine candidate. But the speed of development has some wondering about the possible risks.
If it's rushed, then people question, like, what is in it? How effective is it?
I'm not really positive if I would get it right away.
Come together.
A White House coronavirus task force briefing sought to address these concerns.
The process of the speed did not compromise at all safety, nor did it compromise scientific integrity.
Trials done on the Pfizer vaccine show it's 95% effective and cause no serious safety concerns. Task force members say scientific advances allowed the company to complete in months what used to take years.
So we need to put to rest any concept that this was rushed in an inappropriate way. This is really solid.
Aside from the FDA, an independent board of scientists will also examine the data before the first doses go out to the public.
You know, I trust the FDA and all that, and if it's approved, sure, I'll probably take it.
Mary, we all know it's not always the easiest thing to do, but health officials say some of us are really backsliding when it comes to social distancing, and it's getting amplified in those social gatherings we really should be avoiding. At the airport, at the grocery store.
That can be challenging, sometimes a little bit impossible.
On the plane or on the bus, it can be challenging to keep your distance from others in public spaces.
People are so disrespectful. They'll walk right by you and burp and breathe and talk to you and let you smell the pepperoni that was in their stomach.
Dr. Elizabeth Waco, the chief operating officer at Swedish, says social distancing needs to be reinforced.
Obviously, continue to mask, continue hand washing, but social distancing appears to be where people have the most difficulty.
According to the CDC's latest definition of social distancing, also called physical distancing, means keeping a safe space between yourself and other people who are not from your household. To do that, stay at least 6 feet away, both in indoor and outdoor spaces.
Social distancing, I cannot reiterate enough how we need to maintain social distancing, and especially over the holidays, we should not be gathering. We're telling our staff that. We're telling the community that, because that is really what's hurting us.
A premise survey used by the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluation asked people in Washington, have you been practicing social distancing when you leave your house? 54% said yes, adamantly. 34% said, I tried to as much as possible. 9% said, I try somewhat. 3% said no, not at all. For some of the reasons why people didn't practice social distancing, 21% said few people are following the rules.
At this point, everyone knows what that is and what you should do. It is what it is. Keep your distance.
On a stretch of road behind this Georgetown industrial complex, wooden planks stacked around tents make up several crude dwellings. And the hum of a generator remains consistent throughout the day. To outsiders, it's an unimaginable lifestyle.
Somebody tried to grab me and pull me in their car. There was one girl who got raped.
Amanda Watt says it's all she's got.
I'm sorry, but we are people just like everybody else, you know what I mean? We have families.
But she also calls this one of the safest homeless encampments in Seattle.
All the women out here carry weapons.
Especially for women.
Ladies, if you fight and you make noise, they'll go away.
Watts arms herself with a whistle and pepper spray.
Simple.
This woman only wants to be called Megan and says she prefers a pocket knife.
Have you ever had to use that knife?
A couple of times I've had to pull it out, yeah.
The headlines and statistics may not be front and center, but most homeless advocates and law enforcement agencies will agree.
Women that are homeless are much more likely to be victims of crime.
Especially violence like assaults and rapes.
And I think it's one of the reasons that pushes me more to fight for others who can't fight for themselves.
Precious Martin is known as the matriarch of Denny Park, one of the areas in the city seeing a surge in tents.
Just kind of keep an eye on things the same way a mom or a big sister would do, you know?
Martin does regular checks, especially on women.
You okay?
Trying to help them,
okay.
Which also means trying to convince them.
Is Elizabeth here?
To get off the streets.
There's nothing exciting and fun about being out here.
With the recent dismantling of the navigation team, Martin is one of several volunteers trying to fill the void left by what was the city's primary form of homeless outreach.
But really, I just offer them an ear and a shoulder to cry on.
And she has the street cred.
I was preyed on.
Martin used to be homeless and was also sexually assaulted.
They see us as targets, not people. We're property or objects for them to do what they want.
Even though these women live miles apart, scattered across encampments throughout the city, they share a unifying message.
If we stick together, we'll be fine. You know, there's always power in numbers, always power in numbers.
And Watts wants everyone to know.
This is only temporary. This is only temporary.
They still have big hopes and even bigger dreams.
I'd like to get to go to college of some kind. Like, it's always been my dream. It's always been my dream.
From Seattle,
I think I can make it happen.
Jonathan Cho, KOMO News.
Yeah, Mary, you heard Kara talk about that timeline, and the timeline it's frustrating for drivers and commuters because they want this to be done. They want those repairs to be done. So what does that timeline mean? Well, it means that road closure signs like this fence that block access to the West Seattle Bridge, aren't going anywhere anytime soon. But the consensus that we heard overall today is people are just glad that a decision has finally been made about the bridge's future. We traveled from North Admiral to the Alaska Junction to White Center area today to talk with business owners and drivers who've been impacted by this closure. Some businesses have actually seen an increase in foot traffic because of drivers taking alternate routes to get around that closure. Others have seen big slowdowns because of the closure and the ongoing effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. In the Alaska Junction, the owner of Click Design That Fits told me he could see the arguments in favor of each of the city's options, but he really thinks repairing the bridge is the best option to get the city reconnected as quickly as possible.
The disconnect from the mainland, as it were, has definitely been a real challenge.
I haven't been entirely sure, but I've been leaning towards demolition of the bridge and entire reconstruction.
So that you heard from there is Jules Williams, the assistant manager of Bebop Waffle Shop in North Admiral. Williams told me Bebop lost a valuable employee who decided the added commute time from the bridge's closure was simply just too difficult. Orders using food delivery services like Grubhub and Uber Eats have greatly declined for them, and the business's customer base has fluctuated quite a bit. Williams told me that although a replacement would have taken more time in the grand scheme of things, it likely would have been more efficient for the city. Live in West Seattle tonight, Steve McCarran.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for checking out our YouTube page. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell from the KOMO Weather Team. You can see more of our videos right here by clicking on the video links for additional news from the Seattle area and Western Washington. Oh, and don't forget to click the subscribe button below so you don't ever miss our YouTube updates.